Hi and welcome to The Print. My name is Karanjeet Kaur and I'm a writer and an editor. Let's talk today about Radhika Yadav and who is responsible for her death. The khap panchayat that murdered Radhika Yadav consisted of one man, her father. No village elders were present. No consensus was called for. And no formal diktat was issued. For the crime of being too independent and too financially secure, the sentence was delivered while she prepared breakfast for her killer. Indian women might be raised to fear the outdoors, but we all instinctively know that the home is often the deadliest place we can be. Radhika Yadav, if she was still alive, might have agreed. Instead, the 25-year-old athlete and tennis coach who ran her own tennis academy was shot 5 times by her father, Radhika Yadav. And this occurred at their home in a posh Gurugram sector. 4 of those bullets found their mark, 3 in her back and 1 in her shoulder. Radhika Yadav surrendered almost immediately. After killing Radhika, he apparently called his brother, labeling the murder Kanyavad or filicide. He stated to the police that he was furious over his daughter running her own tennis academy and had murdered her over a dispute regarding its closure. Yadav went on to suggest that the police make a watertight case against him based on his statement, and the subsequent FIR ought to ensure that he is given the death sentence. After snuffing out a young life, Yadav has moved on to his final performance, martyrdom. He now wants to die for a righteous murder that is already being applauded by his peers. They are the ones who taunted him for living off of Radhika's income in the first place. While this is being spun around as paschatap, can a premeditated act really lead to genuine remorse? According to reports, Yadav attempted to control every aspect of Radhika's life: her tennis career, who she spoke to, and how much time she spent outside the house. What he does have instead of remorse is the satisfaction of restoring honor to his family and community. It helps us all to keep up the fiction of Gurgaon as a modern city, redolent with tech-powered possibilities, and not an extension of the hinterland's most rotten, regressive ideas dressed up in shiny chrome cladding. Because some problems, like the radical idea of women's agency, cannot be solved by a 2x2 matrix. The shock ringing through Gurgaon right now is also the realization of how little separates DLF camellias from Kethal. Even Yadav's hatred towards his daughter isn't original. It sits atop the steaming pile of other murders once presided over by Haryana's khap panchayats, the kangaroo courts that terrorized North India through the mid-2000s. These unelected bodies, comprising village elders whose purpose was to uphold social values and intervene in village disputes, issued death sentences for couples who dared marry outside caste or gotra boundaries. The most brutal cases became household names. In 2007, Manoj and Babli, 23 and 19 years old respectively, eloped from Kethal. They got married in Chandigarh despite familial and community disapproval. They were both from the same gotra or clan, which treats such unions as borderline incest because of the concept of bhaichara. However, these marriages are completely legal according to Indian law. The couple sought and were granted police protection when threats from the khap panchayat and their own families began. But the state failed them spectacularly. Despite being in the presence of the police, they were abducted from a public bus and murdered by khap-affiliated relatives. Their decomposing bodies were recovered from a canal 9 days later, revealing signs of torture. The case was a sign and a warning that law enforcement was no match for traditional authority. Throughout the mid-2000s, khap panchayats ran amok. In 2004, they forced a young couple in Jhajjar district to dissolve their marriage and abort their unborn child. In 2007, in Katlaheri village of Karnal district, they forcibly separated a 10-day-old infant from its parents, deeming the marriage illegal. In 2010, Monica and Rinku, who were both Jat teenagers, were killed and hanged outside their homes in Nimriwali village as a reminder of the consequences of loving outside the bounds set by the community. all at the behest of a khap panchayat. In 2012, khap panchayat sought death for couples who elope and marry, and even suggested that 16-year-olds should be married to curb rape. By that same year, PILs were being filed against these bodies, and a Supreme Court panel recommended reining in khap panchayats to prevent honor killings. But as recently as 2019, Naresh Tiketh, who is the banyan khap leader and the president of the Bharatiya Kisan Union, said that love marriages were unacceptable. He said, "We raise girls, educate them, and invest 20 to 30 lakhs on their upbringing, and then they marry by their own choice. How can we accept that? We cannot allow that. If parents take all the pains to educate their girls, then they also have a right over their marriages." After the landmark Manoj and Babli verdict sentenced 5 perpetrators to death in 2010, we declared victory against the wrong enemy. The khaps seem to have retreated. Their public pronouncements also began to grow muted. Between 2020 and 2021, several of these bodies participated in the farmers' protest against the 3 contentious farm laws. So we confused the silencing of formal bodies with the defeat of their ideology. But we had misunderstood the power structure entirely. The village elders were never the source, but simply the most visible manifestation of values that have always resided at the heart of every patriarchal household. Khap panchayats learned brutality from Indian families, not the other way around. The real infrastructure of honor killings didn't need to convene under a banyan tree when a daughter's independence is discussed within the home as a family problem. Khap panchayats merely gave this mindset a platform. When that platform was dismantled, the mindset simply returned to the family unit, where it had been thriving all along. Have you ever read a story of a mother who killed her uncontrollable son for bringing dishonor to the family through independence? Has any man ever been shot for refusing an arranged marriage? Honor is just a fancy term that families invented to cage female ambition. Radhika Yadav died because her success threatened the fundamental order of patriarchy that demands women remain perpetual minors, forever seeking permission for decisions about their own lives. The father, the family, and the khap panchayat that killed her have always ruled in favor of one belief, that the only honorable daughter is a dead one.